Good morning, traders. Today is Monday, August 8th. My name is Charles, and this is the Prior Traders live stream. Okay, so I'm going to start today zoomed out a little bit here, looking at the daily candles, because I do believe the market is in balance on the daily. Last week, I was under the impression that it was a horizontal balancing area like this, and so that we had a potential breakout of balance. But with the confusion that I felt on Friday, I forced myself to step back a little bit and try to get some perspective on what was going on because it was so unusual the way the market traded. And doing so helped me to realize that the market is balancing, as I assume. It's just doing it in a channel up and to the right as opposed to doing it straight across a vertical. So just to put that into perspective, it's not doing this where it's balancing just to the side. It's channeling. It's balancing up and to the right. Okay. So that is what I believe is happening. And if that is the case, then the market is in balance, increasing the odds that we are heading from one end of balance up to the opposite end, which has not yet been tested. So that is a little bit bullish this morning. We are also going to get a gap up this morning. We're going to open above yesterday's high. So the first order of business with the overnight inventory being net long is a counter auction to that overnight inventory. So that is the market looking to fill the gap, getting back down to yesterday's high. Okay, that's the first order of business for the market. So if it fails to fill that gap, if it tries to push down in there and it can't get to yesterday's high, it turns around and finds support and starts heading higher. That is what we call a gap and go, which is very, very bullish. Okay, if it pulls down to yesterday's high and it finds support around yesterday's high and then turns around and starts heading higher, that too is a gap and go, which is incredibly bullish. So that is the first thing that I'm watching for this morning. Do we fill the gap? And if so, do we get a gap and go? Do buyers step in and provide support around yesterday's high, around Friday's high? Okay, which is at 41.53. If they fail to do so, if the market fills the gap and then doesn't find support and starts to head lower, I would look for us to head down and test the lower end of that trend, which would be at the very least repairing this weak reference at 41.29 and then monitoring for continuation lower from there. So essentially, I'm looking for support at yesterday's high. If we do not get it, monitor for continuation lower. Okay? If the market is going to find support here this morning and if the market is going to head higher this morning, it should find support around yesterday's high. So let's see what we got. Also, it's worth noting before the market opens in a minute here that I will only be live streaming today for the first 30 minutes or so. Then I got to dip out. I got an appointment I got to get to. If you're a member of the brigade, if I am able to make it back this afternoon in time to get a live stream going, I will send out an email then, and I will also post it in the Discord. Otherwise, I may not be able to do a live stream today. It'll depend on timing. All right, the market is open. First order of business, filling that gap. Can we get down to 41.5350? And if we do we find support? All right, so once again, we got overnight inventory, very, very net long, looking for a counter auction to the downside. One potential gap fill trade would be if the market finds resistance up here and heads back down through the opening price. You could go short at the opening price and put your stop above whatever is the high created prior to that, looking for that gap fill to 41.53. Short covering. All right, well, as of now, we have to assume a gap and go, which is bullish. It's a little bit tricky because the place I'd be looking for support would be right around this node around the opening price, 41.64-ish for support. But the problem is if that breaks, then it's the gap fill. So it's like I'm bullish above here, but as soon as it breaks, the second it breaks, I'm bearish to fill that gap. So take that with a grain of salt. But this is a gap and go, and there is no signal more bullish than a gap and go. So now the thing we're watching for is, do we get support? When we pull back down, don't know exactly where it'll be. Could be half back at 41.69 or 68.50. If not, right around that opening price. If we get support, that is the confirmation of a gap and go, which is bullish. Hanji, where is the gap? How do you determine that? The gap is, so the gap was at the market open. We opened right here. So the gap was from the open to yesterday's high. Okay. We partially filled the gap in the A period, but this little green arrow that you see here, that is showing us the amount of gap that remains unfilled below. So the fact that we didn't fully fill the gap, the fact that we partially filled it, found support, and then turned around and started to head higher, that is what we call a gap and go, which is a sign of momentum, of bullishness in the market. So now that we got that signal, we got the gap and go signal, we're looking to confirm it so that we can buy the market, we can go long. That confirmation is support. So basically we want to give the ticks a chance to pull back a little bit. They opened all the way up here, right? Because overnight inventory was net long. The overnight traders need a chance to take profits to get out of their trade. So when this comes back down, do we get new buyers? Do we stay above that zero line? If so, that is support for gap and go. Anywhere above the opening price is good. Jay Trader, smash that like button. Yes, please. Please smash the like. Sure would appreciate it. Okay, so here's where we're looking for that support. We're looking for the ticks to get back to zero and then buyers to step in and defend. Anywhere between here at halfback and the opening price, 41.64. Smash that thumbs up if you're looking for a gap and go, if you're bullish and you want the market to head higher. Not that many bulls. Okay, now smash the thumbs up if you want the market to go down, if you're bearish. If you're looking for this opening price to break. Smash that thumbs up. All right. That's the support, ladies and gentlemen. I'm officially bullish. We got new buyers up here. Couldn't even fill the gap. That is a sign of a gap and go. The A period now has a weak high. It is considered weak because it is the same as the overnight high. So that increases the odds at some point today. We got to push up above that overnight. Chilling with Dylan. You know what? Just smash the like button if you want the market to go anywhere. If you just want the market to go. You know what? Even if you want the market to just sit here all day and go nowhere, smash that like button. Smash the like button if it's Monday. As a matter of fact, if it's just a day of the week that ends in the word day, smash that like. Mateus, I think that's the first time I understood the opening. The first of many. Now you understand momentum. Now you understand new buyers wanting to do business. Elliot, what if you're a spread trader and you want the spread between the S&P and the Nasdaq to narrow? Well, then you smash the like button, obviously. Come on. All right, there's the repair of the overnight high. Millen, thank you for the sub. Welcome. Happy to have you. Okay, so I am looking for some resistance around this previous balance area high, 86 to 87 area. That will also match up with the potential trend line that I was looking at on the daily. You can see we're going to start pushing up into that. So I'll be looking for some resistance up in there and see how the market reacts. That's around 86, 87. Nunez says, it will repair the weak high, burn the stops, then fill the gap. Watch. That's very possible. It's certainly possible we could, get resistance and then turn around and start to head lower. But the good news is you'll have lots of signs along the way, right? You're looking for support now at the overnight high. Now that we pushed above the overnight high, we always look for support when we pull back down. You also got support around the halfback. 41.72. It's also where that big note of volume from earlier this morning that acted as support was. So you got two potential levels to look for support and continuation higher. If they both break, you've got all the time between here and here to sit and think about it and decide what you want to do. And if you were to enter a short for a gap fill around the market open, there's still plenty of money to be made. Right? You don't have to guess that that's going to happen up here ahead of time. You can catch a move from the opening price to the gap fill is a 11-point move. Lots of money to be made with 11 points. And you can get in with a larger position size if you have more confidence. Because you waited for that confirmation. Something to consider. The Shaw, you got to cancel the appointment. You can't miss a gap and go. Oh, my friend, there will be lots of gap and goes in my future. Believe me. There is no such thing as missing a trade. There's always another one. Patrick, any chance I could start the live stream before I leave and have it up? I could do that. But I don't think it'll help you at all because I'd have to be so zoomed out, right? Since I don't know where the market's going to go in that time. So, for example, the market could trade up and then be above the top of the screen or trade back down below. So I'd have to zoom way out anyway. So probably you're better off just hanging out in the Discord. If there's somebody in the brigade who doesn't mind jumping into the Discord in the live chat room in there and posting their screen, if you got market profile software, I sure would appreciate that. People have done that in the past. Jeremy, I'm going to have to take my gap and go profit and run if you're leaving us. No, don't, man. Challenge yourself. Here's your chance to practice trading without my voice. Ask yourself, what would I be saying right now? Would I be commenting on the support at the overnight high? What would that be telling me? What would support at the overnight high be telling Charles? Oh, that there's new buyers willing to do business above where they were even in the overnight. Bullish. Before you know it, you won't need the live stream at all. Chilling with Dylan. Yeah, just go to log in on the Pirate Traders website. So just go to piratetraders.io, click on the My Account button in the top left. Once you log in, it'll automatically take you to the Brigade page. Scroll down, you'll see a link for the Discord there. The Shah. Before you know it, you'll dream with Charles's voice in your head. I swear to God, my own voice is in my head like that. Like I find myself thinking, like saying scripts that I talk about all the time in my head, like throughout the rest of the day, as if it's like a song stuck in my head. I'll be like just walking down the street thinking to myself, well, if you find support at the overnight high, it's bullish. It's a sign of new buyers. And then I'll be like, wait, what the fuck am I doing? Why am I thinking about that right now? That's what happens when you say stuff all day, every day. Get stuck. So I'm not making this as a prediction for today, but just as one thing you could keep an eye on. So like I said, I'm expecting resistance right about where we currently are, between like 86 and 87. So for the market to pull back down, looking for support to try to poke through. If it can't poke through and it comes back down, breaks through this support, I'd start to look for a potential gap fill in there. But if it doesn't get resistance here, if we're able to push through 87 and just keep going, well, then I'd start to keep an eye on the advancers versus decliners in here. And I'd be saying to myself, are we pegged sideways? Now, again, I can't predict that this will happen ahead of time. Impossible to predict. But I'm just saying, if you observe it to be the case, that it just starts to go sideways here, know that that is a signal to buy every dip and sell every rip until that breaks, until you start to head lower. But as long as it keeps going sideways, we call that pegged. You can buy every dip and sell every rip, and the market will just keep pumping higher. So who knows if we'll get that. I'm just pointing it out as a potential thing to watch for, depending on whether we get resistance here at 87. S8F, what do you mean by advancers versus decliners? So the one that I use is ADSPD, which is just the S&P 500, or you can look at the ticker symbol ADD by itself. And what that basically is it's just measuring the volume of the stocks going up versus the volume of the stocks going down. So it's showing you what's happening. You know, if you have the ADD, it's showing you what's happening in the entire NYSE exchange. If you have the ADSPD, it's just the stocks within the S&P 500. For the previous day's range, I use 4 p.m. close as the previous day's range. So at 4 p.m. yesterday or on Friday, the high was at 41.53, not up at 64. MMMBBQ, just send me an email. Shoot me an email and I can help you. Jeremy, I wasn't watching when that happened at 9 a.m. If it was, if it dumped and immediately retraced, if it was like boop, and then it kind of just came right back up, then it was just somebody with size liquidating. All right, pushing right up into that resistance. from the trend line on the highs. Is this enough to smack the buyers back down? Robert, it was NVIDIA reporting bad guidance. Oh, really? I wouldn't think NVIDIA would be big enough to tank the market. Scott, the volume seems quite strong above the overnight high. A great observation. Scooball says, I hate that cliff exactly at the overnight high. Yeah, but if it breaks, you got half back just a couple points below you. James, I love it. He says, I'll be waiting for that email and I'll be trading and thinking, what would Charles do? Nothing would make me happier. As far as where I leave you all here today, again, there's nothing new to report here. It's a gap and go that is bullish and could potentially lead to a trend day, right? So what happens with gap and goes is people, they don't get a chance to get long, okay? Because it happens instantly. And so what can take place is that all day they can keep pumping it higher and they don't really get much of a pullback before they pump again. Don't get much of a pullback before they pump again. That's what we call a trend, where they just keep buying at higher prices. If that's going to happen, what you should see is the volume should continue to push higher just like it did earlier this morning. We pushed up from the opening price, okay? Built up that little section of volume in here, pushed higher, built up a section of volume, pushed higher. Now we're building up a section of volume, right? If they can keep doing that, if they can keep pushing higher, building some volume, pushing higher, building some volume, they can keep it trending all day long. It will shock you how long they can trend it. So that's the first thing that I'd be keeping an eye on is do we keep that momentum going? And then if it breaks, if you get back down below the opening price, I would look for a gap fill. And then what would seem like the higher probability to me if you got a gap fill now is that you just kind of rotate around from there. But you do have potential if you start to trade back down into Friday's range that you could be heading down to repair at 41.29. So keep that in mind. I think the higher probability is probably that we just go sideways up here at higher prices, necessarily than a trend day. But I could be wrong. Let's see what happens with the momentum. With that, unfortunately, I must bid you all farewell and wish you good luck. Like I said, if you're in the brigade, just keep an eye out in your email or hang out in the Discord today, and I'll post in there when I'm back. And if somebody wouldn't mind jumping in the Discord and running a stream if you do have your own market profile software. You can just go down here to voice channels and you just join that live room, and then it gives you the option to share your screen. So it'd be dope if everyone could jump in there and hang out and talk to each other and share some ideas while I'm out. With that, I bid you all farewell. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you very much. Bye. Back to normal tomorrow morning. Oh, also, we got a poor high now in the B period. That increases the odds that we're going to repair the poor high, which would be putting the initial balance to the upside, which is bullish. So you got value higher, which is bullish. You got initial balance to the upside, which is bullish. You got gap and go, which is bullish. Hey, it's a bull market, you know. At least on the intraday. All right, have a good one, guys. Bye.